Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Planet Coaster. Today is part 5 of our Alpha 3 Let's Play, and this is the entrance building to the park, and I am incredibly pleased with how this thing has turned out. It actually took quite a while to build, a lot longer than I thought it would. Actually, about as long as it would have taken me to do 2, maybe 3 episodes of the average Let's Build series. So I spent about as long on this as I spent on certain parts of Pirate Valley and most of Utopian Heights. I don't know if that means that those series are slightly invalidated, but I'm actually quite proud of how long I spent on this one individual building, and I feel like that has actually paid off. So let's go about and have a bit of a look at it. So, you enter here, as we did in the previous episode, but you're now flanked by this massive structure. You go through the archway, and you have a couple of ATMs on either side. We can actually have a sneaky little look and see if the ATMs display anything when people use them. So, what do we got here? They don't display a thing, but that's pretty accurate for an ATM. You've got your confirm button, your cancel button, you've got your other buttons. I'm not quite sure what they'd be. You obviously have your number pad there as well. I assume you put your card in there. That'll be cash, receipts, and maybe that's cash. I don't know. Either way, we have those ATMs, which are super great. We come through a little bit further, and you might notice some of the rides have been recolored. The carousel hasn't, but the wild blue is now blue and yellow. The 360 power is grey and yellow, which I really like. I was tempted to go sort of a white and green color because Xbox 360 and 360 power, but I decided this kind of worked. Although, I guess we can toy around with that idea for a second. If we go for sort of that green color, not that green color, but we go for sort of that green color there, and then we change that to sort of white, you sort of have this Xbox 360 looking ride, which I'm not a big fan of. I like the yellow. I don't really want to color anything green just because if we do, then it's going to blend into the trees, which wouldn't be great. So if we move along a little bit further, we have the cube, which is purple and white with a bit of grey in there as well. We turn around and we have the insanity, which is just primarily red with a bit of purple. Moving along, we have the kickflip, which is yellow, purple, black, and grey. I think it looks quite nice. It's quite vibrant. Over that way, we have the Star Wheel, which is red. There's a bit of black, there's a bit of grey, there's a bit of white. There's a bit of purple in there. There's a lot of colors going on with this ride. Black, white, I think that's purple. I'm not really sure. There's a bunch of colors there, and it looks kind of decent, if I do say so myself. So we've also detailed this courtyard. There are some hedges in there, some plants, some trees, some little walls, and I'm quite happy with how this turned out. I decided to keep it quite simplistic because I didn't see the point in overdoing it. It is a bit of the park that is effectively done already. So I thought keeping it like this might be a good idea. I haven't bothered to do anything around it yet because I'm still not entirely certain what's going to go in there. I also didn't bother to do this space in here because all of my time went on this structure at the entrance, and I'm so pleased with it. And I've actually had an idea. And it's an interesting idea because it's an idea that will dictate how this park ends up looking in the end. So we have this little courtyard here, and we have this thing here, which is effectively a big wall. And what I'm thinking is that our entire park should maybe become effectively a courtyard for this building. This building can extend the whole way around in one shape or other, and then the park is within those walls. Then on the outside, we put some water down, and we effectively make a bit of a moat. That might look a bit weird, but I definitely want to try it. So, let's get to work on putting some water in front of this building. So what I've done here is I have outlined the area that I would like to lower to put some water in. So we're going to go ahead and pause the game while we do this. I'm also going to basically make this corner a bit of a square. So we're going to do that kind of thing there. We're going to do the same on this side as well. Now, this obviously isn't where the moat would necessarily end. It would go around the entire structure, but because we can't do that at the moment, I would like to do this very basic thing with putting some water in here. And honestly, I think I might actually go ahead and change this entire pathway around here to be this material, because I might actually end up keeping this pathway. Although it's kind of tempting to get rid of this angled piece, because I would like to maybe do some little railings along this, and that's not really going to be the easiest thing to do if we have these angled pieces. So we may end up getting rid of those, but I just want to do what is effectively a test to see if this idea will work. So if we go to terrain editing, I want to make the size of my brush a lot smaller, and I want to use the push tool, and we're going to go to a bit of a reasonable depth. We'll go to about there, I think. Actually, a little bit further. We'll go to about there, which is definitely a reasonable depth. We'll flatten the foundation, and we'll just flatten the foundation around this whole space. Now, this is going to cut underneath the building quite a bit, because we're not actually working with a lot of space here. We're actually working in a very, very small amount of space, considering we're wanting to go ahead and put in, you know, some water and a lot of different little decorations. So at the moment, if we go under here, you can actually see I have sort of undercut parts of the pathway, but that's okay, because I'd actually like to go under there, just like that, because now we have this little bit of a tunnel, which means we can have some water flowing underneath the main entrance to the park, which means the main entrance to the park can have a bunch of cool decorations put onto it that's going to make it look like it's a bridge, which it sort of is, but it's going to make it look like it's a fancy bridge, which it sort of isn't at the moment. So that's kind of the cool thing to do there. Let's just go ahead and make sure this all looks as good as possible, which it certainly does. I'm thinking I might want to go a little bit lower on that, but for the time being, what I'd like to do is smooth all of this and smooth these edges just a little bit to just neaten it up a little bit, make it look kind of nice, make it look a little bit better, and just do all of that. So that is the start of the moat, I suppose. If we go to water, I'm going to use rough water because it's just going to look the most interesting, and I'll do it at about that level so that we can clearly see it flowing underneath the little bit there. Which looks kind of interesting. I might actually raise it up a little bit to there, which actually doesn't flow under here. That's very strange. That is very strange indeed. Let's maybe just go for that height then, which does flow underneath the whole thing and leaves a little bit of a gap where you can clearly see it's a bridge. So that is what this could look like, except going the whole way around the park. We would have this amazing looking moat. I would like it to be a little bit wider, but unfortunately the game doesn't want to let me put a path here because that's right at the entrance to the park. So this is about the space we're dealing with, unless I were to go like this. I could do this kind of thing and we'd have a weird kind of bridge here. This is an option to get a thicker moat, but I don't know that that's necessarily something I really want to do, because it doesn't actually want to let me do it on this side, which is annoying, to say the least. But I don't think I'm going to worry about that. I really don't think that's something to worry about. I think what I'd actually like to do is go ahead and take that path out. So I'm going to get rid of this entire section of path and then smooth the moat that we have here. So the edges are a little bit less, I suppose, angular, so that they look a little bit more natural, so that we don't have this thing that is very, very clearly chiseled out of the ground. I mean, there are going to be parts of it that are going to be quite angular. Obviously, the bits going along these pathways is going to be quite angular, but that's okay. This bit, this just needs fixed because it's way, way too much. So let's go ahead and smooth that out a little bit, because we can get this nice, more natural looking feel to the whole thing if we just do that. So it goes nice and smooth around there like that. And we'll do the same thing on this side as well. And again, just make it look as smooth as we possibly can. So something a little bit like that, I suppose. So that looks a bit better. I'm quite happy with how that is. I am considering maybe starting to continue this building around. I think what might be a good idea, though, is if we go to edit the building and I select that bit of the building, I'm going to duplicate it, I'm going to rotate it, And I'm going to put it there. So we have these two towers right beside each other. If I then start getting rid of bits of this, we're basically going to have another little archway. A little mini series of archways on either side of this building. Because we have the main one in the middle, we don't have one at this end, and we're about to have one at this end. So that should be pretty cool. I would, of course, like to get rid of the windows in here, because there's not much point in having those. Same with those ones as well. I'll work out the rest of the details on this in just a second. I think what I'd like to do is grab you, and that bit, duplicate it across like that, and then duplicate again, and rotate for the back. So that can go there. I'll fill out this wall in just a second. I don't really think it's going to be too difficult to do that. We just need to do that, and lower that down to about there. So if we do that, we can actually just effectively go in and duplicate all of this, like so, and duplicate to there. Then we go in and duplicate these little bits of decoration just here. So Control D on that, and we paste them like so. And then the little bit around the bottom needs to be done as well, but that's actually super, super easy. So we just duplicate that and place it and place it. So that is effectively a second tower, which I think looks pretty cool. I'm going to just duplicate these bits as well, because they are obviously the decorations for the bottom of these towers, which I have actually neglected in a few spots, apparently. Yeah, under here doesn't have them, so that's going to need to be done there and there, and done there and there. And on the front of this tower as well, so there and there, and I think I've pretty much covered this one at this point, so that's pretty good. That's all we needed. I do think I'm going to grab these 4 windows. I said these 4 windows, not these 3 windows, and throw them onto this side of the building. So to about there. And that is effectively what that's going to look like. Now, I do want to put some changes in here. I do have some ideas. I would like to go to custom buildings, walls, arches, and grab myself a few of these. Because these arches are actually quite nice. So if I throw one there, and I throw one down at the end there, I'm going to cover that up with a flat bit of roof like this. So just there and there. Which doesn't look perfect. You can clearly see some interesting little gaps going on there, but we can totally cover those up slightly. Just like so. I think that worked. Yeah, that totally worked. So that is the archway that we're working with. I am tempted to maybe raise that roof bit a little, but I'm thinking we'll just leave it as is for the time being, because I just want to put some of these in here. So one there, and then reverse them like that, which I think worked. Yes, it did. So we should have a whole bunch of light coming out of those tunnels, which is super important. And I'll also do this kind of thing so that we have lights shining up above them. And there we go. That's the archway. Now all I need to do is select that, duplicate it, and move it down to this end of the building. And then quite simply, that's that. Except for the apparent that's not that, because it didn't place correctly. That's not quite what I was after. Let's try that again. Because sometimes copying and pasting is maybe not the best idea, especially when you're doing homework. You don't want to copy and paste from Wikipedia. People generally know when you've done that. So let's just raise that to that point. And I do believe that is the completed entrance building. For the time being, until I decide to extend it and turn it into a perimeter wall for the entire park. But I like it. I really, really do. That entire building, 3,186 objects. You can upload a building to the workshop if it has 1,000 or less. So this thing is a little bit too big to upload. Fortunately, when I'm done with this park, I will upload the whole thing to the Steam Workshop for people to play with. Until then, you ain't getting your hands on this. So just be aware of that little fact. Gonna delete that bit of wall. And gonna do this so I can get these windows in there. Gonna do the same thing down this end because I totally forgot to actually put the windows in. So grab those, duplicate the whole thing, and put in there. And now I'd actually like to just run the simulation because I want to see how these tunnels look at nighttime. So as the sun sets on the park, our tunnels are lit up absolutely beautifully. Look at that. That's exactly what I want to see. I love seeing the way those tunnels light up, especially this one in the middle. It's absolutely perfect. But that's what we want to see. The sides of the towers are lit up on the inside. The tunnels here are lit up as well. So you can clearly see the tunnels from quite far away, which is exactly what we want. Now, it would be interesting to maybe get some lights on top of these spires, but at the same time, I don't know that I want to do that. I kind of like them without the lights up there. I kind of like that the building gets a bit dark at nighttime. So maybe we will just leave it as is. Because I don't want to risk overdoing it. What I would like to do, though, is actually pull some of this pathway out. So pull all of that away and pull all of that away as well. Now, I do believe that's even on either side. Yes, it is. But it is a bit smaller, which I think is quite important too. I also realize we don't have any janitors at the moment, which is something we might want to deal with. But what I'm going to deal with first is actually changing all of these black paths in the park to be this stone one. Because I realize this stone one kind of matches the theme we're going for a little bit better. I'm going to keep... You might have noticed I've changed the rides to have the sort of black base on them rather than the blue one. I'm going to keep that black base, but all of the black pathways are going to be going to stone. So, not only did I change the black paths to this stone one, I changed all of the queues as well to be this sort of concrete-looking one, because I just think it looks a little bit more interesting. I kept these paths as they were, so the fast passes are still the green and black pathways there. The rides are still the same, but most importantly at the moment, we need to get some janitors, because the game has not loaded the janitors that we once had, and the park is getting absolutely filthy. So I'm going to get myself a small army of janitors here. That's 5, that's 6. We'll go for 8 of them, so there's 7, and there is 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, there we go. So 8 janitors on the go, gonna do their thing, and have a grand time cleaning my beautiful park. Yeah, they're gonna have a great time cleaning up this bit. I do definitely think that the stone paths look better, though. I think it just suits the aesthetic of the park that bit better. So I'm quite happy with that. I also changed the texture in here to be grass, because I thought it kind of just worked. It is a bit of a dull-looking grass. It's not a bright, luscious green grass. But it still kind of works. I think it works considering that is an area that would be better kept than some other spaces. So that's totally fine by me. So what I'd like to do at the moment is I'd like to come out here, and I would like to make this look like a bit of a bridge. Because it is a bridge at the moment, but it doesn't really look like a bridge at the moment. I also really hope I can reconnect that. Hold on a minute. That's interesting. It doesn't seem to want to let me. So maybe we're going to flatten this terrain a little bit. So just flatten that out like that so I can reconnect this pathway, which I can do. And then go to terrain and just flatten it back down to about there. And flatten it on that side as well. Just like that. So bring it back a little bit. So that still has the gap underneath it. I'd like to just sort of make that a little bit more prominent like that. So there we go. The gap's still there. Now let's turn this into a beautiful bridge. So we're going to want to get ourselves some walls on the go. I'm going to use castle walls because I think they are probably the easiest and best way to do this. So I want to put a castle wall just there and there. And I can sort of do the same thing on this side. So what I'll do is that kind of thing there. So delete that one, and then I'd like to select both of these with the precision movement and sort of just shuffle them a bit like that. So that totally works. Let's edit this and see what we can do. So duplicate that and rotate it like that. So that should be kind of interesting. Let's see if we can make... now, what way is this going to line up, actually? I hadn't really thought about that. So that actually works. That's an interesting design, and I really like it. So do that, and... Oh, I don't know what way these are supposed to sit. That way, and that way. All right. So those are going to sit like that. I'm going to lower them into the ground in a second. Don't worry, they're not going to be sitting up like that the whole time. I'm just trying to get the base design for this whole thing. So that's sort of the basic bit of design. I want to get myself some regular castle walls. So if I put a couple of those along there, just like that, that covers up the bits of the pathway on either side, which I think is quite important to do. I would also really like to maybe not do that. What if we go and get some frame? I need to do some walls around the rest of the walkway as well, but what if we get this framework here and sort of change the grid height to 0.5 and sort of have it sitting, maybe not 0.5, maybe 0.25, so we can get a little bit more precise with it and do that kind of thing there, because then that acts as a railing, and we can put some lights on that as well, if we want to. But most importantly, it is going to act like a railing, which I kind of really want in this. So that's not so bad. I would like to come in with a couple more details here and there. So this rounded archway here, I kind of want to throw there. Even if it doesn't necessarily work because of the bit up above it, I kind of want to throw it in there because I think it'll look kind of cool. So we've got that going for us. We've got that on this side. Then perhaps we go to roof, we go to castle roof flat, and we sort of just throw it in there. Yeah, that kind of works. Makes it look a bit interesting. A little bit different. I like it. I do. So at this point, I guess if I just deselect the edit mode there and raise this whole thing up, we have the makings of a bridge. It does need a bit of work, but most importantly, I want to make sure it is actually supported in the water. So if I go to columns and go to the castle arch supports, I want to throw a few of those just underneath the supports there to just make sure those go right down into the ground and into the dirt. So there and there as well. Then on this side as well, just like so. And we will do that, that, and that. Okay. So that's pretty much the bridge. I'm going to keep it kind of simple, which I think this absolutely is. So that's actually kind of the perfect height for it. Almost. Maybe a little bit higher. So about there. But that is pretty much the perfect height if you ask me. It's simple, it's not too tall, and it kind of does the job. You can see these rocks through it, which is a little bit annoying, and I could absolutely fix that, but I don't know that I want to. More to the point, I don't know that we need to. Because, I mean, it doesn't look terrible. But at the same time, it might be nice to get rid of them. Let's see what we could do. We could do... I mean, we could completely square it off, that's for sure. We could do this kind of thing. Not with those particular blocks, but with these ones. We could put that there and there, which will completely block off any sign of the natural bit through it. But I kind of don't know that I like that. I kind of almost like the fact that you can see that through it. I think it's a nice little detail. So I think I might leave it, or come in with another bit of framework and maybe use that as a bit of detail. Yeah, you know what? That actually looks kind of interesting. So we'll do a bit of detail there with the framework on the sides like so. And then I know it's got some Z fighting going on there. We can actually fight that with some roof trims, such as this one. The good old sandstone trim there. Old classic sandstone trim does what it needs to do. And that's pretty good. I do want some lights on here. Absolutely want some lights on here. So if we go to props, we go to lights, we go to this one, it's gonna sit awkwardly there. That's a bit of a problem. I can't actually get it to sit where I'd really want it to sit. Which sucks, because I'm not really sure I want any other type of light. I really wanted this one. I guess if I center it there and use precision to move it down into there and across. Now that works. And I like it quite a bit. So that, ladies and gents, is the bridge. It's definitely simple, but I like it. It's got some lights. I mean, they're open flames, but they're lights nonetheless. And they absolutely do the job. Definitely looks like a bridge to me. You can obviously see the natural bits underneath it and sort of through it, but I actually like that. I really, really do. So let's go ahead and look into getting some, I guess, some railings around the rest of the building. And I should probably mention that I know some people are going to look at this episode of Planet Coaster and say that this is most definitely a Let's Build at this point. I think that's probably fair. This is a bit of a different type of Let's Build compared to my previous ones, and this isn't necessarily the format that Let's Builds will be taking from now on, but I feel like at this point, I've kind of done everything there is to do in Alpha 3 in terms of management because I have a lot of money. I'm spending a lot of money, but I also have a lot of money. So there's not really a management challenge at the moment. So I'm just kind of having fun building and explaining things as I build. I don't really do that all that often. And it's a bit different, it's a bit fun, and I like it. So hopefully you don't mind this sort of format change from let's manage this park for 2 episodes and then all of a sudden let's build very slowly. But it's fun for me. Again, I don't often get to build in real time and explain what I'm doing all that much. I do occasionally in live streams, but I mean, for YouTube content, I rarely get to do this kind of thing. So it's a lot of fun, it's a bit different, and I'm quite enjoying it. So hopefully you do too. But with that out of the way, I think... Oh no, there is one last little bit of housekeeping I would like to address, which is that some people are slightly annoyed that I'm not building roller coasters. I don't know if I've addressed it in this video already, or if it was in a live stream that I might have mentioned it recently, but my reason for not building roller coasters at the moment is quite simply because I'm bad at building roller coasters, and I don't really enjoy roller coasters. For a game, I mean, it's funny that a game called Planet Coaster is a game in which I'm sort of ignoring the coasters, but they are honestly the least fun part of this game for me. For me, this is a building sandbox primarily, and a theme park manager as a secondary thing, and that might change when the game releases. But right now, I'm really bad at building roller coasters, and I know exactly what the comments will be if I build a roller coaster. All the people saying, build roller coasters, will turn around and say, you are crap at building roller coasters. And I know that. I'm not saying that to be mean. I'm saying that because I've seen it before. Because I've built roller coasters before, and had all of those comments. So that's my reasoning. It's not just because I'm a bit of a silly beggar. It is because I've seen those comments and also because I'm really bad at building them. But there's the railing around here, which I actually quite like it. I think it's pretty good. There's a little gap in it there, which is a bit of a health and safety problem, but we'll pretend that doesn't exist, because I'm actually super pleased with this. Now, I'm sort of questioning myself as to whether or not I want to put some trees here, because that will slightly block the view. So maybe we don't do trees, maybe instead we sort of do some bushes, because we do have those. We do actually have some fairly hefty ones as well. So maybe some sort of large green bushes around here just to sort of fill up the space wouldn't be a terrible idea. Just as a way to maybe say to people, you know, maybe don't go this way, maybe don't walk out into the desert on a horse with no name, maybe just stay on the path. So do that kind of thing. Get this nice big bush in there as well. Get a couple of those ones too. And then maybe throw a couple of these slightly different shrubs in front as well. Just like that. And just like that as well. Then maybe a couple of these little red ones too, because I really like these. These are some of my favorite plants in the game. Do the same on this side as well. And do I want to add a tree? I kind of do and I kind of don't. I think maybe one birch tree wouldn't really hurt. Just like that. I think that kind of works. And then maybe another one on that side. Yeah, I like that. I think that just makes it look a little bit nicer. We could do a little bit of grass painting there. If we've got a paint, got a grass, knock the size down a little bit. See about there. Just a little bit of grass painting to make it look like, you know, that tree's not just growing out of sand. And perhaps the same on this side as well. Just again to make it look like the tree isn't just completely growing out of the sand. I think that looks kind of nice. Yeah, I'm also really excited to see what this bridge looks like at nighttime. So let's speed up the game and see what happens as the sun sets on the bridge. No, I like it. I love that sunset. It's absolutely beautiful. As for the bridge, it seems to be lit up really, really nicely. Those torches are doing a fantastic job. Super, super happy with that. Looks absolutely amazing. That nice red glow mixed with the artificial light coming out of the archway. Oh, it leads you up to the park beautifully. You have the clock up above you. Oh, look at that. That is beautiful. That is a beautiful, beautiful view. Oh my god. Oh, I love it. I really do. Look at this. I don't know if I've done it in this video. I think I did it on the live stream where I was building this building. But I want to show you this. So if I go and ride this ride, it gives you such an amazing sense of scale of those buildings. They really are a lot bigger than I'd planned them to be. But I'm actually okay with that. I really, really am, and I love how this looks. I do want to maybe go ahead and get a couple of those lights about out here, though. That might be a pretty good idea. So let's look into doing that. Let's go to scenery. Let's go to props and lights and grab you. And then sort of put it there. Use the precision movement to, number one, sync it. And number two, align it with that set of posts. So just about there. Then I'd like to move it along to the middle just about there. And I will duplicate this one and do the same thing just about there. So there we go. We have that corner lit up quite nicely, which I think will look pretty cool. I would like to pretty much do the same thing on the other side. Fortunately, I can just duplicate the three. Oh, no, I can't because they're not part of the building. Well, let's undo that for a second and go and edit the building and do that again. Because that way, we don't have to worry about not being able to duplicate those. So we can get them at exactly the height that we want. So if I just align that there. And once again, use precision movement to sync it. And move it to the middle of that post. Then move it to the middle of those two posts. And then move it to the middle of the... Oh, hold on. I just undid that one. Then move it to the middle of those two posts as well. So that totally works. I can select the three of them, duplicate them, and move them to this end. So all we need to do is rotate them 3 times and put them about there. So that seems actually like it's a bit too high. Actually, no, it's not. It looks like the feet of them do ever so slightly come through the ground there. So that's pretty much perfect. Okay. Well, I can get behind that. I can certainly get behind that. It's a bit more light to the sides of the building, which I can absolutely approve of. And to be honest, I am so proud of this building. I really, really am. But I do want to make a point of not going an entire episode of this Let's Play without at least placing one ride. So what I'm going to do is in this space here, I'm going to place a ride. I don't know what ride it's going to be, I do still need to place Gears of Fear, but I don't think it can really go there. I don't think that's a good spot for it. We do obviously need to place things like the sun flare and the sundial. We do need to place the teacups. I actually, you know what? I really need to make a kids area, don't I? Because the teacups and the aeronauts and another carousel, as well as maybe the sky ace and the whirly rig, they really do make up a nice little kids park. So I might want to get a few of those in the go. I also think it might be possible to come in here and do this kind of thing. No, that's not actually going to let me go straight across. Okay, let's pause for a second and get rid of that bit of path. So connect these guys all... Oh dear. This may have backfired immediately, which is beautiful to see. So this... Ooh, okay, hold on. Knock that width down to 8 and continue straight across there. Knock that up to 10 and go... Oh, now is that not going to snap? That's very interesting that that wouldn't immediately just sort of snap there. That's very interesting indeed. Well, I guess I can do this kind of thing. Continue that straight across there, which is what I want to do. Then connect that there, which actually gives us a little bit of an angle there. People might end up walking through my little fountain, which I didn't show you, by the way. We have this little fountain here. But that's okay. I'm going to go ahead and knock this down to size 4 and connect that through. So that's fine. And what I think I'll actually do is I will go ahead and place the Gears of Fear. Because I can actually place it right at the end of this pathway, which I think will look pretty darn cool indeed. So I think that's about the middle. It's obviously not going to be perfect, but that's about the middle, I think. So let's just move it along to there and then raise it up. So that's going to raise up out of the ground to about there. And yeah, that's definitely going to look interesting at the end of that pathway. Let's also speed up the game a little bit so that we can get some proper daytime going here. We'll go until, ooh, the year, it's now 6th of June, year 6. Well, isn't that something? Alright, so let's get the time to about 10 a.m. So the sun will be much higher in the sky. Actually, that's probably okay there. So let's see. Let's place the entrance and see what we can do. So I reckon the entrance to this can go... I'm going to say there. And the exit can actually go on the opposite end. And then the queue for the entrance is going to be fairly simple. So something a bit like that. Which can go down, then around like this. So this might work the way I want it to. I'm not entirely certain. I don't think this ride is actually going to have a priority pass on it. It could, but I don't know that it needs one. Can I get a ticket booth in there? Probably not. Let's do it this way then. So ticket booth can go about there, which is fine by me. Then the priority pass could go out and around, but I don't think I'm going to bother with a priority pass. I think it's fine without. I would, however, like to... Oh, really? I can't snap that either. Okay. Well, that's a bit odd, but okay. Fair enough. Let's lower that to there, and I really would like to have that go straight through, but that's just not an option. So what we'll do is this kind of thing, where this can go straight through like that. Then connect that little bit to there. That's fine as is. Let's get me the 10-meter wide path, which connects to there. And that seems fine to me. That totally does the job. So that ride is pretty much ready to go. Can I recolor it? I also need to change the base of it. So let's go to the black base, like so. Can it be recolored? It actually can, I think. So I put that to white. Oh, now that doesn't seem to be changing anything about this ride, which is interesting, because I was kind of hoping it would, because I feel like this ride would look absolutely amazing in pink, but no, that's not going to let me do it. That's fine. Let's just open it then, and we'll see what happens with it. Hopefully it's going to be a popular one. I imagine it will be. It certainly looks a bit mean, which I can get behind. Let's go ahead and do a bit of scenery then. We'll just do the usual mix of birch trees, although I'm not going to put them too close to the ride so that it doesn't end up looking like this really weird, mean machine surrounded by lovely big trees. I mean, I will do a few of them. Just definitely not, you know, right in front of it or right beside it. I think right beside it, I'd actually kind of like to do a bunch of these sort of more dead-looking bushes. Because they kind of match the style of this ride, I think. You know, it's not the friendliest looking thing. It is also called Gears of Fear. So, yeah, you're supposed to be a little bit afraid of this one. So let's just get some of those in and get a few of them just around there as well. Alright, so that looks okay to me. Very, very basic, obviously, but kind of does the job. So let's go to Path Extras and get ourselves a bin just there. And a bin just there. By the way, if you haven't noticed the way I line these up, I always line them up with that kind of last line in the base of these rides. So that way we kind of end up with something a little bit symmetrical. So a couple of benches there, and a couple of benches... that one needs to be moved. A couple of benches just there. Get another couple going on there. And we can put more bins in the middle. So, are we going to see people going to Gears of Fear? This guy looks like he might be a bit keen. Yeah, he's going for it. Oh, we've got people going onto it already. Fair enough. Fair enough. I'm actually quite excited to see this thing in action. Could look very interesting. So, they enter the ride here and then just walk on this bit? Yeah, they do. Okay. So, hopefully this thing will get going pretty quickly. There's a fair few people coming along. But, definitely not that many. We need to lure more people to this end of the park. Oh, there it goes. Alright, so it's above some, very real lava there. Oh my. Yeah, that thing is, that would definitely not be for me. Definitely not my kind of thing. But it looks interesting. Definitely looks... Oh my god. Having the people suspended up in the air like that at the end of the path, it's great. Let's view it. Let's get on a seat. Oh my. Yeah, that is all sorts of nope right there. Let's not bother with that. Definitely a cool addition to the park, though. Definitely that. So I can get behind that. But, ladies and gents, I'm actually going to leave it there for today. I've got this entrance building pretty much done. We have the water here. And I would actually like to ask your opinion on the idea that we turn the entrance building into a building that basically surrounds the entire park with a moat on the outside. Because if you just take into account this bit, I think the water going around it just makes it look like this kind of fantasy. It almost looks like the castle from Frozen. Now, bear with me, it doesn't really look like the castle, but it looks like the walls on that because the walls were pretty much like right on the water. So it kind of looks like that. It looks a little bit fantasy, a little bit fantastical, and I like it. So I'm going to leave it completely up to you. Do we turn the building into effectively a perimeter wall, or do we not? Because I like the idea of turning it into one, but I want to see what you think as well. So with that in mind, ladies and gents, I am going to leave it there for today. Thank you kind of for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye! Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button. That way, YouTube will think I'm popular, and they'll show the video to even more people.